honor did you choose to do the first video?
This place has special meaning to me because of what has happened here. It's sort of my personal experience.
Yeah.
A lot of that has happened in other places, but I just like it over here.
Right.
Like hanging out with you guys. But anyway, let me introduce myself. My name's John from Prairie Underworld Magazine. I am the owner, Darrell Whisman. And Brian Hensley,
Why did we
Mick McWethy, and Mr. Wicked Beard, Jeff Cochran. But like I said, this place has special meaning to me. And it's just hard to explain. It's one of those personal experiences that happened to me as well as actually the others that were here that night had a few things happen too. But I want to start with Darrell. Why school? Why did you want to live in a school?
When I originally bought the school, I came here to turn it into a haunted house. Didn't realize it already was, but everything we tried to do, the county would stop us because we don't have sprinkler systems or anything like that in it. So I finally give up on it and just made it our house. So we just lived here. And my cousin, her husband was working for me some here. And I had him upstairs and I had to leave him for some reason. He come back downstairs and said, "There's something up there." What do you mean there's something up there? And he's like, "Dude, there's something up there." And so I went back up there with him. We couldn't find anything. And he started telling me about a friend of his that does paranormal investigating and wanted to know if he could come down and check the place out. And I said, "Sure, that'd be cool. Bring him down. We'll check it out and see what he finds." Well, he brought this guy named Brian down here. And the first night here, Brian came by himself and he kind of freaked him out. And it was a really, really active night. I mean, some noises and bangs that nothing here had ever been called out. And Brian was calling some things out. It got pretty crazy. So I guess he left here and called his buddy Nick and said, "Dude, you gotta come check this out. This place is off the hook." Is that what you said?
Off the hook.
It's off the hook.
I know the last time that we had talked, you were telling me about it. It sounded like people were at their bowling.
Yeah, well, that was the night a group was here that did some real serious provoking. And I won't allow that to happen here anymore, but they left here about 1 o'clock in the morning, and 3 o'clock in the morning, my wife and I sitting on our computers over here, and it sounds like somebody's dropping a bowling ball right above us. And we hear it boom and roll a few feet, and 10 seconds later, it's like they drop it again, you hear it roll a few feet. So my wife goes to the stairs down here and stands, and I go to the front and I go up. I'm thinking at first one of them's hid up there just trying to mess with us. So I'm looking for one of the guys in the group to be up there, want to try to scare me or something. I went through the whole building, there was nothing. I come down the other steps, I asked my wife, "Does anybody come out this way?" She said, "No." So we go back to our computers, sit down, and about 20 minutes later, it starts up again. So this time I sent her to these stairs, and I went this way because it's quicker to get to these stairs. So I go flying upstairs, go through all the rooms. There's nobody here anyway. So I don't know if I called Brian that night or the next morning. I said, "I don't know what you guys did, but don't ever do it again here."
And we didn't do anything different. And I'm like, "Darrell, I don't know what you're talking about, bud. We did what we always do." But Nick found out the cause of the problem, and they honestly, when he said that they were provoking, they literally took provoking to a whole nother level. I mean, GD it, I effing demand you this, and I mean, just blatant disrespectful, way more than just provoking.
And it wasn't just kind of one of those things where it was, they progressively got into it. As soon as they got upstairs, that's what they did. I mean, it was just,
They pretty well started off.
yeah, as soon as you see them on camera, that's all they're doing. And I mean, it's for a good hour while they were up there. It was, and as soon as Brian and I got up there, we started off in the gym, then we went upstairs, because that's, why we got called in here. I mean, that's where all the activity was happening. So when we got up there, like Darrell was saying, I mean, even while we were up there, you could hear bangs so loud, you could feel the building shake from how loud the bangs were. I mean, it was,
And you can slam any door in,
Yeah.
you can't recreate the sound that you hear in here.
what's
I mean,
crazy, yeah, what's
it's
crazy
like-
about that is halfway through the night, I mean, even through the recordings, we almost got so used to it while it was happening, we just started ignoring it.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
My wife and I be sitting here at night now, and we'll hear footsteps going across the ceiling. We don't even look at each other anymore. I mean, used to we'd be like, "You hear that?" And we don't even flinch to it. I mean, we're so used
Yeah,
to it.
that's what I was gonna ask you, what is it actually truly like to live here, to experience it?
The only thing that's kind of weird is, it doesn't happen all the time. It's probably happened, we've been here 8 years, and it's probably happened a total of 80 or 90 times. But you'll be in the bed, it's about ready to go to sleep at night, and you'll feel something set on the edge of the bed and kind of roll you. But nothing's ever touched us, or she's had something breathe on her a few times, she said. She feel a hot breath. But as far as anything here feeling like it's threatening or that we're afraid of, there ain't nothing like that. Everything here seems pleasant.
Now, when you say pleasant, that brings me back to some photos of you, actually, with the scratch and welt on your back.
Was it
Uh,
provoking?
Is that from provoking, or is that?
Absolutely
Asking
not.
for it.
Really?
Absolutely not. The first time that I got scratched here, like Darrell just said, I was asking for it. I was asking for any type of physical connection. Push me, touch me, scratch me. I was like, just do something physically to let me know you're here.
But it did say not to be in
Yeah.
a hurtful kind of way.
Yeah,
too.
it wasn't
like a-
provoking. So, just a light scratch mark. Now, last time, when we were in the dry goods room, we was just doing a regular session, and the word hate came out of the box, the PX box. And I said, hate? Who do you hate? You. Me? Why do you hate me? And I think first it said problems. And it was like, what problems do you have with me? And it said mistakes. And I was like, yeah, I'm human. I've made plenty of mistakes. I was like, what mistake is it that I made that upset you? Nothing. And then Nick asked, he's like, come on, tell us, what is it that Brian did to upset you? What mistakes has he made? And he said, art. And somebody had said, well, what about your body art? I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. And I just kind of stepped over in between Nick and another guy that was there, almost like how we are here. And I felt it start to, like a sunburn, you know, and it started getting a little more stinging and painful. And I grabbed Nick and told him, I was like, dude, I think I just got scratched on my back. And we flipped all the main lights on, so we didn't have any flashlights or anything. Flipped all the lights on so we could see clear. I lifted my shirt, untucked my other shirt, and lifted it. And they were all like, yeah, there's a mark on your back. And they're like, whoa, it's starting to weld up. They're like, it's getting bigger. It's like they actually sit there and like watched it form on my back. But we found out that the lady that was there with us, she's been having something follow her around, pretty malevolent. And while we were doing the walkthrough, my wife Tracy had another group doing a walkthrough. My wife Tracy had the PX box. While we were doing our walkthrough, the lady's name, Callie, was called through the PX box up there with Tracy. And Tracy said, yeah, Callie's here. She's downstairs with Brian. You can go say hi to her. Shortly after that, not knowing that just happened, Callie was like, did you hear somebody? Did you hear that? I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm standing right next to her. She's like, I just heard my name. I was like, honey, I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything. And she heard it again. Well, a little later after that is when that happened to my back. She goes back to the Stanley Hotel, and the resident medium, psychic, whatever you want to call him, she comes up to Callie and she goes, who's Peter? Callie was like, well, Peter's the guy who committed suicide in the house that I used to live in, which is who she thinks is kind of latched onto her, following her around. She goes, okay, well, who's Brian? And Callie was like, well, Brian's my ex-husband. And she goes, no, not him. She said, this Brian was hurt by Peter. Peter did something to Brian. Who's Brian? And Callie was like, I just about physically threw up. She said, I physically felt like I was going to get ill. She was like, so after she asked me that, I felt she told her what happened here at the school.
Hmm.
So that incident was an isolated incident that has no direct ties to the school. Even after that, nothing bad's ever happened here, malevolent, demonic, or anything like that. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The home, well, you know, I played the EVP, YouTube, at the house.
you gotta hear this one.
I should have brought it with me, but I didn't. And you all know what it says. It's, to me, it was plain as day. And I don't know if I aggravated someone up there just snapping pictures or what, but when I asked it, you know, do you want me to take any more pictures? You got plain as day, F-U. And it was
Really?
so drawn out, it's, yeah.
It's clear. It's I'd say Class A.
So that's one of the reasons why I like coming back here, maybe to either try to bring closure to that, or at least apologize.
Right.
if I made someone angry.
And then you also seen something too that was pretty
True.
impressive.
Of course,
But then again, a spirit is like a human, I mean, you don't necessarily have to do anything to make a spirit angry. Sometimes a spirit's just an asshole like a human is, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to do anything. They might just be disgruntled because they're dead and they're whatever.
Yeah. Which brings up that because like we were saying.
I provoke a little bit. I'm not the cussing kind of
Right. Yeah.
nasty provoker, but I think you gotta bring them out a little because,
You can call them out without
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
provoking.
yeah, you don't have to like F you and, you know, I'll call them a chicken shit or I'll bring them out a little bit because if you make them a little bit angry, you'll at least know they're there. Because a lot of times if you don't provoke, they stay hidden, you know, they won't make themselves known, you know, and that's kind of what we're here for is to
But on the same
find out what's
hand.
going on. But you don't want them to be revenge, you know,
Yeah.
vengeful,
Right.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Sometimes if you do provoke, they'll hide.
There is
also.
a way to provoke without being an
Exactly.
asshole about
There's-
it.
And the
there's
way
even a way to
the way you
indirect
do it
provoke.
is
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
I just basically have no tolerance for wussy spirits. I mean, come on out. Come on out and talk to us. Don't sit there and,
That's,
you know.
not that I provoke, but if I've, driven a long way, and I've come a long
See,
way
that's
to
part
see
of the thing
something.
too, you know, a lot of people go a long way.
I'll
to-
say, look, I'm here, everybody says you're here, show me.
Right.
I've come a long way, it's not about me, it's about you, where are you,
Yeah.
and that works a lot of times.
But you can provoke in a kind of a forceful way, and you can also provoke in an emotional way. If you come up with memories that
Oh, yeah.
that the spirit may have of when they were alive, and you bring those memories out, that might trigger them to start talking about it,
Right.
or at least saying something about it.
Yep.
That's where you get a lot of times like the little kids crying or asking for mommy or what have you, in different places.
Oh yeah.
But then again, like I've always heard though, evil spirits sometimes take on the persona of a child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you
They'll
can't
mimic-
you can't always assume that you're talking to a child.
Right. They'll mimic family members,
Yeah.
children. Yeah.
Exactly.
We've had, and I don't know if it was evil or not, but it was a case, we had a home where we'd gotten a Class A EVP that sounds exactly like one of our investigators, except it's long and drawn out. And our guy doesn't talk like that.
Right.
He's a fairly fast talker, but it sounds exactly like him. So the first thing we did was, hey Luis, did you say this at any point? Well, no. He said, that's not me. Of course, to him, it probably sounds completely different.
So it mimicked.
Yeah, and it was his voice to the T. Just said the hour's getting cold. It was drawn out like that. What it meant, I have no idea, but it was his voice.
Yeah. Why would he say something like that? The
Yeah.
hour's getting cold.
And he was upstairs, wasn't even near the recorder that picked it up.
Wow.
But yeah, they can mimic. There's no doubt in my mind.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
But Darrell, I personally want to thank you for opening this place up.
No,
to
I was
groups like
blessed
us.
with it. I like it.
I know this is your home. This is where you stay, and to open it up like that, for groups. I mean, that means the world to me, and especially keeping it affordable.
Yeah.
That's a big plus. A lot of people, I'm not a rich person by no means.
Right.
But to be able to come up you know, for the price.
But you always bring galleons up.
Well, I do that just because I like to do it.
Well, if it weren't for Darrell, I would have never met my teammates.
Exactly.
I would have never gotten involved with Aaron Houdini, and I wouldn't have met all the other paranormal folks that I've met along the way. And I've only met a handful of the people that you all know, but
You know, that's actually, that, you know, I don't know if you know, or if anybody else knows, that's actually how we hooked up. Wait a minute. That's actually how
it was
we
for your
met.
son. It was for your son's benefit.
Yeah.
That was the first time we ever
No,
met.
I haven't
the
talked
old-
to-
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we, back in May of 2011, we did a benefit for OI, which is osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a brittle bone disease that my son has. And Jeff, you know, seen it on Facebook, and he just lives, you know, 15, 20 minutes, you know, not far up the road in Fairfield from us here. And he's like, hey, man, I want to be a part of this. I want to help out.
Well, I actually contacted Aaron about it.
Yeah.
Aaron, because I saw he was doing some magic, and I'd already talked to Aaron a couple times beforehand. I kind of knew him a little bit, but not as good as I do now. But I came down and I said, I'll do some costuming, and then I've always had an interest in the paranormal. I mean, for a lot of years. And I've studied and I've learned, and I've just never had a team, never had anybody to work with.
And it's hard to find reputable people to
No.
work with.
Well, these guys aren't just they're family. You know, they're my
Absolutely.
brothers.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
Darrell's a brother too. I mean, I feel
Absolutely.
when I come here, I feel like I'm home, like second home, you know.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that we had never met, you know, and I'm standing on the front porch with Aaron, and Aaron's on the phone with somebody, and he was like, well, I don't know, here, just talk to him. He's like, here, this is Jeff Wickedbeard on the phone. He wants to come help out and be a part of this event. He was like, he needs directions on how to get here. I was like, okay, cool. Go on the phone, tell him how to get here. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. Aaron's like, he's a good guy. He's like, you'll like him. He gets here, man. He gets in some of his costumes, and you've seen his costumes, and I was like, holy crap, Michael Myers is here. No, that's just Jeff. I was like, oh my God. But it was a big hit. You know, the people loved it. It was here at the event. It was it really helped out a bunch. And then, like you said, from there on, it was like, you know, me and Nick was talking, and we're like, dude, man, it'd be cool to have
Well,
Jeff on the team.
At first, I was just gonna go with them on a couple hunts, you know, as like a guest.
Right.
You know, but I was like, well, I get along with these guys real good, you know, so I wonder if they'd bring me on as a teammate, you know, maybe just do like a threesome.
So you approach them or vice
Yeah,
versa?
I kind of approached them with the idea, then they were gracious enough to induct me at Scarefest and made the announcement.
I remember that. I was sitting in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, when he came
While
in.
he was in his predator
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
So we really
But
didn't have
the
much
thing
of a
that drew
choice.
me in, the thing that drew me in is we don't have drama, we don't argue, we don't fight, we don't have that stuff like other paranormal teams I've noticed have. You know, we always get along, and we always work together, and we always agree on most everything we do, you know,
Yeah.
so it's,
That says a lot, especially as a team atmosphere.
And we, you know, we're all mature enough to where, you know, we know that eventually, like, you know, I've known Nick for a long time.
Right.
There's times where we're mature enough to know that sometimes we just got to agree to disagree and just move on.
Right.
And that's how, like Jeff said, that we're all so close and we've got so much in common that it's like, you know, eventually, you know, they're not going to agree with something I say or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, we'll talk it out, agree to disagree, or maybe they'll convince me that, oh, okay, yeah, I see your guys' point. And
well, I learned
move on.
from them, I learned this field from them. I mean, I've watched all the shows, I pretty much know how to investigate. But I learned all the tricks of the trade from these guys. They teach me. I'm not an expert by any means in this field. I don't think anybody is really. But
No,
you know,
impossible to
I
be.
know when I'm doing the costume realm, but
Yes,
this
you
is,
do.
This is all new to me. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
and-
there's no such thing as an expert in anything.
Right.
If it's misunderstood or not understood at all, how can there be an expert?
Exactly. I'm looking for answers like everybody is.
And I think we're gonna be looking for answers for a very long time. We
Long
probably find
time.
them in our lifetime. I mean, that's the way this
And
goes.
I truly believe there's another side. I'm not going to say heaven or hell because I'm a Wiccan. I'm not a Christian. I don't really believe in heaven and hell, but I believe there is another dimension. I do believe there is another, you know, area that things reside that we know nothing about. And I just want to find out what that is.
Now, collectively, what do you guys really think it is?
You know,
Is it, are we running into ourselves in a different dimension, or?
I believe in a parallel universe. I honestly do.
I was raised Christian, and I was telling Jeff last night, I had a conversation with a former pastor of mine, and he said to hear a Christian preacher say this was pretty kind of impressive in a way, that he had an open enough mind to say it. He said, we don't even know what heaven and hell is. He said, how do we not know that some of the spirits that you hear at the school aren't somebody that passed on at like 80 years old or whatever, but some of the happiest moments in their life was here as a kid. So this is part of their heaven or their place. So they come back here, not all the time, but from time to time to visit in their heaven or whatever you call it. Which I thought that was interesting. But I mean,
Or in another realm, there could
Exactly.
still be school going on here. Be kids going to class.
yep,
We don't know what's going on in that other realm. I
Exactly.
mean, this place could be active right now. It could be still like a working school in another dimension.
right. That's like
I know people hear that stuff and they think, that sounds like a bunch of hokey crap, but it's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I
We don't
mean,
know for
how
sure.
are we walking around? We're just a bunch of organs held together by molecules and atoms, and we're walking around talking to everybody.
Like Darrell said, like at midnight tonight, or like right now, it's almost 6 o'clock p.m. What about on their side? Is it 6 a.m. or is it like the complete opposite?
Well, that's where the residual stuff comes in. When people talk about residual haunts, I think that could be, their daily life. Oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
That could be their daily life still going on, and we're just basically on the other side, like we're on the other side of the wall, listening through that dimension.
Okay.
Yep.
We're doing
It's just weird. I mean, everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has their own answers. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no.
I just want to find out for myself that I'm not, crazy.
Good luck with that.
I'm really intrigued. Like you guys are, I'm very
absolutely.
intrigued on what might, because I've heard a lot of evidence. Yeah, some fake, some not, but
Sorry about that.
there are some things that I've heard from other people, and even the ghost shows, which I know a lot of it's staged. But there are a lot of things that they do catch. That
Oh,
are
absolutely.
things moving on their own. I mean, come on, it can't all be fake.
Right. Well,
You
when
know?
tell John what happened to you when in the dry storage room. The one night.
With the door?
When it was just the four of us and your buddy.
My buddy Mike came with us, who's never investigated anything before, but he loves, the paranormal as much as I do. But we're all in there, he's by the door, and Darrell will tell you when you shut that door, and the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that won't open.
When it's shut, you can't, it's hard, I mean, you gotta have a bulldozer sometimes to get that thing open. But we had it shut all
That's
the
why we
way,
brought Jeff
we're in
in
that
there.
room. Well, I had a hard time, I couldn't even pull that thing open.
Yeah.
But
I know, right?
But my buddy was sitting by the door, we're all talking, and the door just opens.
And not this much either.
Yeah, it just, like somebody pulled it open.
Like halfway.
And he about shit himself,
We heard footsteps.
He looked
down
over,
the
he's
hallway,
like, oh
too.
my God, the door just opened.
Yeah.
But then that same day, we're upstairs on the third floor, is it?
Yeah.
And he goes to the restroom, and that door in the restroom, when you shut it, it's loud as hell.
Yeah.
Well, he came out, shut the door all the way, and after we were up there doing a voice box thing, and just not long after that same door slammed again, and it was already shut. So it had been opened and shut again by something.
We went back and listened to the audio to make sure I did shut it, and sure enough, on the audio you could hear me come out. Boom,
Yeah.
door shuts.
How hard did you shut it? That's got a hydraulic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sure.
Yeah, and
You hear it shut.
Yeah.
knowing how that door can stick, we always make sure it shuts, and it's shut. You hear it latch shut.
Okay, if you hear it latch, it's different. I'm thinking, sometimes you force those hydraulic closures,
It bounced
Yeah.
back. Yeah,
And then it close again. So-
No, it was about a 10-minute lull in between the
Oh,
bangs.
yeah. It
That's
was,
And then after that, we heard the locker door squeak.
Yep.
There was one of the lockers squeaked open or shut, whatever it was doing.
Yeah.
but you hear a lot of expletives after the bang, so we don't play that too much. You hear a lot of what the F?
Yeah, it got me. Well, as Nick always says,
I mean, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. I don't get frightened by that stuff because I think it's interesting that things like that can happen. And I know it's all discounted. Could have been the wind, could have been this. Well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it's like the scream I caught from here.
Or other noises you hear all the
Did
time.
you just hear that?
That was definitely above.
Yeah.
So is
Was that a bang?
Yeah.
But, I don't believe in
We're the
ghosts,
only ones in here, right?
Yeah.
and I live here, and I know, I think there's something here, I don't know what it is, but you hear things all the time in here.
Folks, that's not us.
There ain't nobody up there, right?
Let me pose this question to you, and Angie posted this on Facebook, and Angie's my girlfriend, by the way, who investigates with us. She's a pretty big skeptic. I mean, unless she's by herself somewhere where nobody is in the vicinity anywhere, she won't really buy anything.
Right.
She posed the question as to why we always
Sounds like
investigate
stories up
when it's at night. Why do we never investigate during the day? Why does she think everything always happens at night when it doesn't happen
We
during
get a
the
lot
day?
of things through the day here.
Yeah.
The one.
But that's an interesting question,
it
because
can-
every ghost investigation, everybody turns the lights
The
out.
biggest
everybody
reason is
investigates at night.
because it's quieter at night, you
Yeah,
can
it's
hear
quiet.
more.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but
There's
daytime,
less
you
traffic,
have-
dogs,
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You can decipher what you're hearing better
That
at
you
night.
can
That is-
investigate.
that is a good
Hey,
point.
There's
Oh,
no
absolutely.
rules that says you can't.
Right.
But you know, people, most of the claims they give us are at night, and we think it's because during the daytime they're so busy during their doing their normal activity, they don't,
Don't pay attention.
yeah, they don't notice
Yeah.
that footstep or whatever until they're at the end of the day relaxing, sitting there
Seriously?
sitting there watching the TV or
Probably.
whatever.
No. None over here yet,
I
right?
don't
Well, I
think
know
they're
if
supposed to be
you've,
at 6:30. They might be. I don't know.
Zach and Nick and Aaron, sometimes they'll do a show where they'll be looking through the area before they investigate.
Right.
And they'll get activity right from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in that place out in the desert. It's out in the middle of it's a hotel out in the middle of
Washoe,
nowhere, dude.
the
No,
Wa-
not the Washoe, that's in Arizona.
Is that the one where the guy had the wood shop and all that in a different building?
It's a hotel, and they have these little rooms, it's like a little strip hotel, and it's out in the middle of the desert, there's nothing around it.
Huh.
And they went in there, and they had the most activity. Zach actually felt sick in one of the rooms, and they had voices like out the yin yang, and it was during the day.
Huh.
At night, it got really bad. But it was, that was probably one of the most haunted places they've been to besides the lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
Daytimes when my wife had something breathing on her here. And
There's gotta be somebody else.
Let's
Yeah,
just,
there
let's,
probably is. They're supposed to be at 6:30, but they may have got here early. But I haven't heard any door alarms go
No,
off.
I haven't either.
That's what I was waiting for. I was like, we would have heard at least one go off, right?
Yeah.
there's nobody here, there's
But
somebody.
it's like,
a little-
like sitting here
Yeah.
talking, and I don't know what it is, but it's like somebody's got a little bitty pin light, and I'll see something like streak out like this, and by the time I look around, there's nothing there.
Huh.
You know how they get orbs in
Yeah.
pictures? Can you see them in the light? I mean,
In the day, yeah. I don't see
Yeah.
why.
I've seen orbs during the day.
because I catch it with my own eyes, I'll see it like over here to
Yeah.
shoot, and you look for it, and there's nothing there. It's,
Now, let me ask you, you know the history of this place better than anybody.
yeah, there's somebody up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What,
definitely.
before the school was here,
That would be awesome if they were.
what was here?
Just vacant ground.
It was just, was there
Well,
any
there-
kind
there
of,
was-
was there any kind of burial ground
had-
here, or any kind of like Native American thing?
According to some of the history, somewhere through this strip, there was a house that they converted to a church. I don't know which house it was, or the house set here or what, but the church had its own cemetery. And in historical records they found, they moved the cemetery up to Pleasant Hill, or Mount Pleasant. It was the Pink Bones, I can't remember all the names that was in it. There's only like two, 3 families, I think.
Was the Post family in there too?
The Posts are buried at Mount Pleasant, but I'm not sure if they were ever moved
Is
or,
it possible they didn't get all of the remains out of
I
there?
have no clue. We don't even know exactly whether it was on this property or not. We don't even really know. But it was, there's always been this story that there's a lost cemetery out here somewhere.
Well, because Middletown has a lot of, supposedly from what I've heard, there's a lot of places that are supposedly haunted in Middletown. Middletown has a lot of hot spots, but it's just knowing where they are and knowing where to go. I mean, there's a lot of old houses, a lot of old mansions,
Right.
you know, especially by the Sword.
Yeah.
That whole road
Yeah.
right there is all old, you know, old mansions.
Yep.
You don't know what went on in those places.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I read something on the internet about them, they had found, graves here on the site somewhere that Jim Nolan moved.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you were
Right.
talking
Yeah.
about or not.
Yeah, there's some evidence in writing about stuff like that, and then you got the, I don't know what you call the myths or whatever of
The legends.
yeah, the legends of people telling that about the lost cemetery in the Poasttown area. Nobody knows where it is, where it was supposed to be, where,
It does sound a bit urban legend
Yeah.
to me.
but there's no evidence to it, so you can't
Exactly.
say anything.
Now, as far as,
move the headstones.
Yeah.
didn't move the box. Now, as far as crossover, I know you guys have got a ton of stuff that has gone on with you guys.
We do?
As far as, yeah, as far as Children of the Grave 2, your other venture, which I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean, you guys are really moving up, as far as popularity. How's it make you feel?
Honestly, I mean, it's like actually, I'll put it this way: a friend of ours from Lake Erie Paranormal texted me the other day, Jason, and he's like, "Wow, you guys are busy paranormal peeps down there." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Movie, TV show, conventions," and he's like, "Investigations, events." He's like, "You guys got a lot going on." He's like, "What's it like living the life of a celeb?" I was like, first of all, I'm not living the life of a celeb.
Yeah, we're not.
I get a disconnect. I just had a disconnect notice for the electric. I'm like, I don't live the life of a celeb. I was like, I'm far from a celeb. And he's like, oh, so humble. I was like, no, not humble, just true. It's I mean, it's like
Yeah, nothing's
nothing's
changed. Checks or anything
Yeah,
like that.
nothing's changed. I mean, it is honorable for us. You know, it's like, wow, you know, we to even be asked to be on a radio show, any little thing. Some friends of ours asked us to host a ghost hunt for their kid's birthday party coming up in June or
No.
June 9th, yeah. And it's like, wow, really?
Right.
Like, you want us to do it? And they're like, how much would you guys charge? And we're like, we don't charge nothing, you know? It's just every little bit it's nice, you know, but nothing's any different.
Because we do get asked a lot, especially with the Children of the Grave 2 thing, you know, what it was like to work with the Booth Brothers and how awesome it wasn't to us. I don't know if it hasn't settled in for me or whatnot, but I mean, you know, we've become really close with those guys and we're good friends with them, so to me it was just like, it's just a cool chance just to be able to work with them and see how they do what they do, so to me it wasn't like, okay, I'm moving on up in the world. I just had a chance to work with some guys that we've gotten to know and we're good friends with. I mean, it was,
Hanging with them and investigating with them, what do you think? I think it's like hanging with you.
yeah, I mean,
So
it really is. It's
You're a good friend of ours.
it's exactly how I feel about them.
Well, that's awesome. That just shows how humble, seriously, how humble you guys are. And that's one of the reasons why I've said it before, I choose to be associated with you guys. There's a lot of people in a lot of different groups, you know, and I'm not gonna down anybody, and I'll work with them at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Absolutely.
But there's, you know, some things I just don't agree with.
Right.
But, you know, it is what it is. In this field, the more people you can work with, a lot of times the better off you are.
Exactly.
Do you know how many people would sit back and say, I had Aaron Houdini at my house, I've had the Booth Brothers at my house, I've had Jeff Wickenfield at my house, I've had,
Keith,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that's,
Well, I don't know if
And
I
a lot of
deserve to be
times-
in those realms.
a lot of times
Of
I
course
don't,
you do.
I don't, like Nick said, I don't think I've ever let it really soak in because I treat them just like I treat anybody else that comes here, and they've all been in my living room, they've been here, I mean,
It's not necessarily about
Yeah.
the fame and the
Yeah.
board. This is, I mean, yeah, we want to get our name out there, and that's a lot of the reason that
Oh, it's-
I want the publicity, because I want people to know about us and to want us to do investigations for them. I mean,
Or
I'd
with them.
I'd like to
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
lot of, I'd like to get a lot of investigations under our belt, a lot of private homes and things like that. And the more people see our name, the more chances we have of getting those gigs.
Yeah.
You know, not for the money, but just the chance to do it, you know, and obscurity doesn't help. You know, it's good to get out there and it's good to get your name out there, you know. I know that from being a costumer. If your name's not out there, nobody's gonna know who the heck you are.
I've heard it said 100 times, and I believe it to be 100% true. There's no money in this.
Oh, there's absolutely, we don't get paid for
You
anything.
lose money in this.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And when there is money in this, you compromise.
Who you are.
You compromise your, you know, basically you're asked to fake things. You're asked to do this, to do that. It's like no.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like we work really, really, really hard to get, you know, what, I say what little bit, other people say, you know, what all you guys are doing. But it's like, I mean, like Scarefest, you know, Nick called me up and was like, hey, I just did something. I was like, oh God, what'd you do?
What did you do?
Yeah.
I know,
He's
right?
like, oh my God. He's like,
I like to start it out that way just to keep
Yeah.
the intensity.
Keep them on the edge.
Right.
I got his book at
Uh-oh.
Scarefest. I was like, what? I was like, you did?
That's awesome.
I mean, yeah, it's like, and then, you know, Jeff, you know, all his
And
stuff.
Crossover will be at Days of the Dead, Indianapolis, just so everybody knows.
And
Awesome.
what about London, Kentucky?
There, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
Wonder.
guests there.
I mean, gosh, we do have a lot coming up on.
Man,
And actually, they'll be honored. We'll be honored. I mean, I already worked with Days of the Dead. I'm in charge of the Monsters Among Us event,
I sold some
the costume
Take
extravaganza, and then there's
my renter back here.
and then Crossover. So we're going to be
Bad
guests.
time.
They'll have us on the guest list, and he's going to have a little paranormal room where he's going to have other paranormal groups as well. And hopefully, we'll be able to pick the ones that we think are worthy of. The ones that, you know, that actually care about what they're doing.
Right.
You know, there are some groups that are just out for,
To make a name.
exactly, yeah, and everybody wants to make a name. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're just out for, you
The
know,
way you do it.
for the coolness of the factor, you know, not actually to find answers.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's another misconception. Some people think, oh, ghost hunting, that must be cool.
No, it's
Yeah, it's
rather boring.
Right, yeah.
exactly. You
not to
sit
go
there.
into details, but we were here for 12 hours yesterday. In the cold ass, I mean, just freezing our asses off. There's no glamour in that.
Well,
And granted, these guys were the ones that it was focused on. I was helping out behind the scenes, but it was still, there's nothing glamorous about it.
Well, there's nothing like sitting listening to a clock tick for 8 hours.
Right, exactly.
You know,
Exactly. I mean, you know.
that's worse than the Chinese water torture.
But I'd rather go a whole investigation and not catch a damn thing and have it be real than have fake stuff coming out just to get people excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, it can be boring.
We're not gonna risk everything that we've worked so hard to do to build for that one piece of evidence that's faked, and then all of a sudden everything's crushed.
Sometimes the only voice I hear is it.
Because it's always in his head.
It's humorous. It's humorous, but you know.
Well, if I can, I know the article in the Middletown Journal. I know what happened with it, but can you explain a little bit about that and how you corrected it?
Yeah.
Because I also want to give you a menu, you know, to also help set the record straight.
Right.
You know, so.
Appreciate it.
um,
We're very, very honored and pleased that first and foremost, Darrell, you know, opened the doors up to all these events and stuff that's coming through, and you know, we're having the Mid-Ohio convention here at Poasttown, April 27th, 28th, 29th, and we had Keith Age came up, and we wanted to do a meet and greet to give people a chance to, you know, meet him, and also to promote the event. So I contacted Fox 45 News, I contacted the Middletown Journal. Middletown Journal showed up, and as I'm talking to the reporter, he asked how many people have been through here. And I said, well, 100 groups have been through, And I told him that Hindsight and Toga, do tours as well. We're not just the only ones that do it. And they're not the only ones that do it. I told him that 100 groups have come through, and I told him that they're responsible. Well, he was just taking notes, and apparently didn't write that down, and printed the article, and the way he worded it made it sound like I told him that we personally have brought over 100 groups in here, and that's not true. There's been over 100 groups here. We're responsible for some, Hindsight's responsible for some, Not Paranormal's responsible for some. There's actually quite a few groups that help with the school. It's not just one team, and Toga. And so when they printed it, I seen it and I was like, oh God, this is not good. Called Darrell. Darrell said, how do we fix it? I said, well, I'm gonna call the reporter and ask him to reprint, a correction. Called him. He wouldn't answer his phone. I left a message. And Darrell called him.
No, he still ain't called me back.
Yeah, he didn't call me back either. And Darrell left a message as well. But the article did get reprinted with the correction. So,
And in the correction, it calls him Tim Hensley instead of Brian.
yeah. But
But
that didn't bother me.
that's not the only thing that was wrong in the article. And that's the only thing they fixed. But they also say that there's a thermal image on YouTube that Keith Age captured here. And it's not on YouTube. It's never been released yet. It's not gonna be released till April. And, everything he took in what the reporter wrote down could have been a book, and they condensed it down to a small article, and he just took highlights and bits and pieces and threw it together. And the first article, probably 40% of it was wrong. And in the correction, 20% of it's still wrong.
Yeah, I introduced him to Darrell. I said, this is Darrell. He lives here. This is his building.
They didn't even talk to me.
Yeah.
He didn't even write about it.
Didn't
My
do
name's
anything.
not in there nowhere.
So, unfortunately, it wasn't what we expected it to be, and there was a mistake. There was a few mistakes. We don't even have the video clip of the thermal that Keith caught. He showed us. We know what it is, but it's for Children of the Grave 2, so it will be in the film.
Which should be out when?
It'll be out in next month, hopefully.
January, February.
They're shooting for February.
It'll be out. It'll be out next month, but we're going to hope that it's out next month. Yeah, it's
You know how it goes with production. Those guys are super busy with everything else that
And
they
it's
do
gonna be
too.
great. It's gonna be just like the rest of them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And that's how they're looking at it. They don't want to just get
don't
it together because
rush it
everybody wants it out. I mean, they got to make it look good. They got to make it the way they want it to be.
But Poasttown is gonna be in the ending of Children's Grade 2, from my understanding.
Are y'all gonna do any kind of release party or anything maybe?
I'm not sure yet. Not sure
You
yet.
may have to make the trip back up here if you do.
Yeah.
So I get to watch it and cry that I didn't get to be a part of it.
But like Nick said too,
I came in a day late and $1 short on that.
what was to you, which I agree, what was the best part of working with the Mood Brothers?
Yeah, I mean the first day that we got to work with them, we went to a place in Bangs, Ohio, and we worked behind the scenes with them. I mean, I AC'd with them, and I got to learn so much, and that was what I wanted to do when I was there. I wanted to learn from them, see how they did things. I mean, to me, it was a lot more exciting to be next to him.
I
And
remember
off.
you being very nervous and someone told you just do your job.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was like, dang, I mean, he's like, I want you to AC with me all day. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be next to you all day long.
Well, the
And
coolest
you were
thing-
next to him all day
Yeah.
long.
The coolest thing I've learned from them when I talked to them at Aaron Houdini's event
Yeah.
is that they pick their location first and then they work the movie around the location
Right.
instead of finding a location to work around the
Yeah.
movie.
And they like to.
I like the way they do that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go about it.
They're not so focused on the evidence and the investigation. They want to tell the story.
Right.
And,
Fabulous
Keith is-
storyteller.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Keith, that's where they bring Keith in. That's where Keith's role is the investigator.
Well, another thing I wanna do involving Darrell is, I've been talking to a lot of people maybe about filming a small horror flick here.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'd love to do something like that and have his school be the centerpiece of the movie, and of course I would play the killer, 'cause it's my idea. But have it centered around the school and maybe involve it as a ghost hunting murder.
I'll be the guy that takes him out at the end.
I'm not gonna give away my idea for the movie, but I think involving these guys, Darrell, some friends of mine that I work with, and I think if we can do this as a fan-based thing,
The caretaker will live on.
That's right.
well, that is sort of the role that I had in mind for Darrell, is to be the caretaker and like the old mysterious kind of.
It's Christopher Booth's name, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, the guy with the cigarettes hanging out of his pocket, you know, shirt all the way down. You don't even have to change, just be yourself.
People ask me, "What do you wear a shirt like Dog the Bounty Hunter?" I said, "Dog wears his shirt like that."
There you go.
But yeah, I think the future holds a lot of cool things for us, so. Everybody
I'm
involved, I think, will
positive it does.
benefit from this.
Yeah, I'm positive it does. You know, I've seen too many good things, you know, come from Crossover, and the school. Darrell, did you ever have any idea it would turn into this?
Never had a clue of it. I don't think I really realized what it's really becoming, honestly. I mean, it's still just our house, and I fight every month to pay the bills and the utilities, and
I remember, after our visit here, I went out to Shelbyville. Keith and Aaron were out at Shelbyville, Keith Asian, Aaron Houdini. Aaron was doing a benefit, there in Shelbyville. He told Keith into just tagging along, trying to talk up the Mid-South Paranormal Conference. And, Aaron had asked me if I was coming out there. You know, that's maybe 45 minutes from me. Well, yeah, I'll come hang out with him. Well, I get there and there's Keith Age. You know, I didn't even know he was coming. I walked up behind him, you know, how you doing, old man? And hung out with him the rest of the day. And I said, Keith, man, we just got back from a place in Ohio that was just unbelievable. He hadn't heard of Poasttown until that day.
Yeah.
And I started telling him about it. And he, you know, his eyes just get a little bigger, you know, like, oh, you're full of shit. But I said, if you haven't heard about it by now, you will. And I guarantee you will. And, you know, look what it's become.
yeah.
Not that I'm responsible for telling him anything, but.
Well, it's
Oh,
it's
yeah,
you,
it's-
it's
yeah.
you, it's the groups from West Virginia, it's the people from Wisconsin, it's the people from right around the corner. You know, you guys all talking. I mean, we can speak till we're blue in the face, but when people actually come in and have that personal, you know, experience. Like we had some people say, "Oh, well, you guys got fishing line hung up. You got a voice recorder that'll say mommy or whatever." And we're like, "Well, that's why we stay in the break room and we let you do your investigation. If you hear something, go look for that radio or whatever. You know, it's
That's what you should be doing anyway.
yeah,
Right, exactly.
yeah. The places, you know, have at
We
it.
will never fake anything.
Absolutely not.
Ever. And I refuse to do it. If somebody asks me to do it, then I'm done. I'm done in that situation. I won't do it.
And
I
then that's
won't, I
why
won't be accused of trickery.
there's no reason in this field to compromise yourself.
Right.
No.
Yeah, there's fun nights here too. I mean, there's nights I call thrill seeker nights.
Yep.
Like on an open hunt, the beginning of an open hunt, I scare the crap out of people
Yeah.
because that's what they want, you know?
But see,
Sometimes
that's
you gotta
not.
lighten-
But
you
at
gotta
the
lighten
end,
mood.
at the end of the evening, the real paranormal investigators and
Yeah.
the people that really want to find what's here, the biggest part of the crowd dies out before midnight, and then they get to have a good evening of.
Well, that's where you get the true test of people that are really interested. The ones that give up, like, oh, there ain't shit here, and they leave. Those are the ones that really aren't
Scared.
cut out for it, you know? They're
Scared. They don't want to hear nothing.
they're
They don't
scared,
wanna
or
find
they
nothing.
think they're just gonna walk into a place and hear somebody come up and say, "Get out!" You know,
Right,
it doesn't
yeah.
happen like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
if it
I
does,
expect-
I mean, I would love to have that happen.
Yeah, that'd be
When
awesome.
people ask me what it's like living in a haunted house, it's like, it's not a haunted house. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, a haunted house, the walls should be stretching out, trying to grab me when I walk down the halls, or, you know, but
He's
there
gonna
ain't
flip the
nothing
first
like
day
it.
that happens.
The toilet should come up and grab
Yeah.
you.
Make sure you call me when that does happen.
Right, I know, right?
I'll come back up.
Yeah,
But no, I can't wait to get our team up here, and hopefully we can do it, sometime this spring,
yeah.
and actually bring.
Now, is your
bring
team
it
coming to Dead Winter, or?
Probably not.
Mid-Ohio,
Mid-Ohio will be
you
here.
definitely wanna be here for that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to that. You've got the Clean Brothers.
Well,
Yeah,
get a hold of
yeah,
me.
Clean Brothers will be here March
Get a hold
31st.
of me, and maybe if when Adolfo for Days of the Dead does that paranormal section, you know, he'll be looking for groups that might wanna get involved, so.
Yeah, we've stayed low key as far as our group. Most of our stuff comes by word of mouth. I've done one convention in our whole since 2007, and that was Mid-South.
Mid-South.
And that was because of Keith. Keith's a friend of mine. It helps support him, throw in a few dollars, whatever he needs for the booth, and sit there. And I had a blast. Had an absolute blast meeting everybody. I didn't get to stay and do too much, afterwards, but yeah, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. That's why I want to come up here. I know it's going to be the same.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
It's important that we all stay close, because then we can all scratch each other's back when it comes to finding places to check out. Like, we have friends that'll help us get involved with the Mansfield prison, or, the lunatic
Allegheny,
asylums, or even Waverly for that matter.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get a connection in that, and we can get some kind of deal.
Yep.
I know Donna from Tri-State Ghost Hunters has got 2 days at Waverly again this year.
Yeah.
So we'll
I'd be
probably
happy if I
tackle
get in there
it,
just one time. If we can get in there
Oh,
one
it-
time this year, that
it's
would be
been-
That
I've
place
been
will,
there
that
twice.
place will blow your mind. Yeah, I've been there about 8 times.
Yeah.
That was his first investigation.
It's the first experience I ever had in paranormal was Waverly.
Aaron Houdini autographed my house, so,
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Yep, I remember
No.
that.
So,
on the stage.
You mentioned,
That's awesome.
the Kling brothers.
Positive thoughts for Aaron Houdini, by
Yeah.
the way. He's
Yeah,
having a
absolutely.
rough time right now.
Nick, events coming up.
You got the Clean Brothers seminar coming in March,
March 31st.
March 31st.
Lake Erie.
Lake
May-
Erie Paranormal
May the
Center was in
19th.
May.
Well, it's,
Into the dark.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got Mid-Ohio in April.
Ohio, Southern, was it,
We just had
Ohio,
another one just,
May the 25th, I think, is Soapy.
SOBI,
Yeah.
Southern Ohio Paranormal Investigators, they're having an event here.
they all just kind of happened right at the same time. It's
Yeah.
like trying to figure them all out and make sure we got it all.
Kind of space
We
them
got
out.
Clean Brothers in March, we got Keith Hayes and Booth Brothers in April.
Yeah.
We have,
How
Dark
did
Into the Dark in May, and, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Southern Ohio is in May as well, right?
how did that come about for you guys in Mid-Ohio? Who brainstormed that?
Just getting a chance to work with Keith and the Booth brothers, getting to know them really, really well. I mean, Keith kind of came to us and them filming here and him having catching what he caught and having some of the experiences that he had. He said he wanted to do a little bit of expanding on the Mid-South. He's like, he'd just been kind of slowly thinking about it and really was looking for some good places to do it. And as soon as he came up here, he's like, this would be a great place to do it. So he got a hold of us and said, hey, would you guys like to be a part of this?
Well, and how many
It's-
cons can you actually have in the place that people would investigate?
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Most of them are at a hotel.
You don't ever see Mansfield Prison having a convention inside the prison walls, hardly at all.
Yeah, they've had a couple. but-
Gettysburg
yeah.
has a lot. Gettysburg does a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
don't they? But I mean, I think Darrell's got something special here. I think it's
Well,
just
that's
gonna
what-
get bigger and bigger.
I knew that from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we.
And
felt.
honestly-
I came up here, Joe and I came up here on a whim. Donna had mentioned it, actually my wife and myself, we were down there in their neck of the woods, met up with them for dinner one night, so I've got family in that area too. And she's like, well, we're going to a place up in Ohio, it's an old school. Y'all maybe want to tag along, I'll call and ask them if it's okay. And I think she called, was it you, and asked me
I
if
think
it's okay?
so. Either me or Nick, Donna, she called one of us, yeah.
Donna Calloway, by the way. And anyway, she had called, and apparently he said, yeah, sure. It was the night for your wife that, was it her birthday? or-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, it's only, 2.5 hours away, let's go. And we did, I'm glad we did.
Oh, I'm glad you did too, because we built a good friendship with
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Because like I said, you know, that first night, you know, seeing, when I had seen him downstairs, that sealed it for me. I knew this place had something going on. You know, it's not every place I've seen things like that. Waverly, you see a lot of shadows. I've seen, not anything similar to what I saw here, which was a head with no face. But to see it that plainly, be, what, 20 foot from it?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that you're talking about your stomach dropping.
Well, let me ask you this, I've known a lot of paranormal people that have been to places and claim that, you know, spirits have latched onto them and followed them home. Even to the point of making them sick and causing disruption in their lives. Now, with that being said, people that come here to investigate,
Can they bring that with them?
do you think some of those spirits might latch onto them and maybe stay here instead of leaving with them? Maybe latching onto the other spirits that are in the place already, and in turn creating new spirits. I mean, what do you think? Do you think these souls can transfer to different places?
I think they can, and I definitely think something could possibly follow you home. I don't know why they would want to.
Well,
I mean, it's like you said, say as a human being, you go to an event, or you go to another place, you meet a bunch of people you like, and you wanna hang out. Wouldn't you think the spirits might be the same way? Maybe they're themselves are meeting other spirits, and in turn, like, hanging with them.
Possible.
I don't know, I just other way, and I know Darrell has a lot of stuff, I mean, there's a lot of shit in this place. A lot of stuff, you got a lot of, like, things, and those things can have attached
You trigger objects,
entities
yeah.
to them. You don't know what things those are. He could have things in here that have some serious entities attached to
Well,
them.
whenever I pass away, I'm heading for the M&M's.
I got my eye on that police car door. So it's just things like that. It's just all these little trinkets he's got around here. They could have some emotional attachment to whoever they belong to at one time.
Nick, do you think things can follow you?
oh, things can absolutely follow you. When we were at Twin City Opera House up in McConnellsville, Ohio, when we left that night, I had something,
I remember you telling me about that.
felt like it had followed us. I mean, I was acting a little bit different during the investigation than I normally have.
A little bit different? Remember,
I don't know, I don't remember.
Remember earlier when we said we don't provoke and stuff? Nick was GD at this, and I was like, what the hell's going on with Nick?
I honestly don't even remember it. And,
Finally.
you know, we were excited for everything that was going on. We had a 3.5 hour drive home, and it's like, are you okay to drive for me? Brian's like, oh yeah, I'm too stoked and everything like that. And all of a sudden we got into the car and all my energy was drained. I started feeling sick. I looked at him and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just not feeling it. I said, do you ever feel like something's followed you home from somewhere? He's like, yeah. I just kind of look at it and I'm like, you need to leave. There's something in the car with me. You can't follow me home. And we did that. Sure enough, my whole body just like it, from my head down to my stomach, I could feel it just kind of releasing. And I started to feel better, and then I just felt something go out of my fingertips, and I didn't even want to tell Brian when it happened, because I was like, he's gonna, yeah, and I was like, he's gonna think I'm crazy. I was like, because you hear people talk about that until you have it happen to you, you don't know. And I was just like,
No, I believe in that. I
Yeah.
believe that the things can attach to you.
yeah, I was just
you
like,
know.
oh my god, did that really just happen?
But it's like, out of respect for Darrell, I won't do that in here. But other places, you can damn well bet that I'm gonna bring that stuff out. Because I don't really care if it attaches to me. I'm looking for that to happen.
Don't try it at Waverly. You won't be in there very long. Tina will.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
kick you out.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, we've run almost an hour. I didn't even expect to go
I
that
know,
long.
right?
But
What is there
Time
some
flies when you're
other
having fun, right?
key points that you wanted to get to?
not really. Actually, I've enjoyed just the round table.
Yeah.
To me, that's almost
Yeah.
better than any kind of interview there is.
Yeah.
But tell everybody where they can contact you.
My phone number, we're on Facebook, Crossover Paranormal. Our email address is crossoverparanormal2, the number 2, at yahoo.com. And on Twitter, it's crossover300, crossover, the number 300. And you can find us at Poasttown.
A lot.
A lot, yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Jeff his page is Wicked Beard yeah.
It's Jeff Wickedbeard Cochran on Facebook.
I keep wanting to say
Or
Wicked
Wickedbeard
Beard,
Creations
yeah.
is my costume site.
Yeah.
But you can always get a hold of me through my Facebook page. Nick and Brian are usually always posting on there. I post on Crossover's page. So between all that, you can find us.
Yeah.
And Darrell, you want anybody to contact you?
Nah. I got enough people here to take care of.
Any post that we make, you'll see Darrell liking it, and you can always click on Darrell's name.
If you would like an investigation here at the school, you can get a hold of us through our email, or you can get a hold of Hindsight Paranormal on Facebook, and Toga as well, or Not Paranormal. Any of us, be more than happy to get you into the school. The most important part to us is getting the school out there. So as long as you get here, that's all that matters. Or actually, don't even bother contacting Darrell. He's got enough going on as it is. So contact one of us.
I run the
we'll get you.
calendar.
There you go. Yeah.
They call me, I say yes or no. It's open or it ain't.
Yep. And we'll
Get your
you.
butts to the Mid-Ohio Paranormal Convention.
Right now, all of our weekends are booked all the way up into June, I think.
Wow.
So it'll be
Pretty
weeknights.
awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. Yeah,
Yeah, we
absolutely.
do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Ours will probably be on a Thursday.
Yeah,
Really, we'll take
Thursday.
Friday off work.
There you go.
So yeah, so if
Free
people
weekend for
people
cover.
want to do a weekday, that's fine with us too.
We do birthday haunts. If you wanna do a birthday party and do a ghost hunt with it, we offer that as well.
Also, don't forget the big Halloween bash
Yeah.
we do every year. Costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Whisman Halloween Bash. Last year, Aaron Houdini had a great event. The Snake Escape.
That was great.
The last one he'll ever do. He said he'll never do another one.
Scary.
We sent it here at Poasttown.
It's funny, from sitting out the audience, people are faint. It's like they moved in there.
Yeah.
You know, said, no, he was
Like
hanging
my
around.
grandson.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Being up near telling me, I heard.
I was
people
afraid to
living
cough.
not
I'm
even
like, what if I
close.
cough or something? Like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And then what did he tell you? The code word. Aaron told you.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, please don't say it, please don't say it, please don't say it.
Don't say Arkansas.
I would holler at Kansas.
I'm like, you jerk.
Well, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of the
Well, we appreciate
First.
you coming out.
very first interview for Paranormal. Of course, we've got a couple of different issues out already. We do an investigator spotlight, which is kind of where this is going to end up.
Cool.
And we do, if anybody wants to contact us, it's paranormalworld.com. We've got a link there to contact us. As far as the story, we'll publish stories, anything. So if you guys want to write something or have an idea for something,
Cool.
shoot it to me.
I'd like to write kids' books.
Go ahead, I'll put that in there.
You don't want him to write kids'
I
books.
wrote a kid's book when I was in grade school.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it got published for a short amount of time.
Wow.
Nice.
But anyway, check us out, paraunderworld.com, Crossover Paranormal, Darrell, Poasttown Elementary School. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What? We waved, but we're still recording.
Oh, it ain't turned on.
Yeah. Damn it.
This was anyway.
That's all.